老师，
你好，
你好。
大善，是的，你好，你可以看你的视频。
可以。
好，看你的视频，给我看你的脸。你好，你现在在
你好。
乌克兰是不是？你
你可以
是
说一遍。
你在什么地方
我在罗马尼亚。
？Romania，
对。
罗马尼亚啊。好，现在几点？亚历山大啊，对。
The last course recording you will put on the YouTube, or you can give it to us another way.
YouTube，你会不会看 YouTube？
I know you put some of your videos on the YouTube, so I'm asking about the last one, the last week recording.
我放了在 YouTube。你可以看在罗马尼亚，你可以看 YouTube 吗？
对。
啊，
但这个平台很有新的。
所以你要我除了 YouTube 以外，你要我放我的视频在别的地方吗？
让我想一想。告诉你。
好。
Facebook
什么？
可能 Facebook，但是我不知道。现在 TikTok 越来越流行，但是你的视频太长了，所以我们不是TikTok。
TikTok 可以放那个全部的功课
觉
的视
得
频。
YouTube 是最好的。
YouTube 是最好的。TikTok 会不会放那个1个小时的视频？在 TikTok 我知道可以放短期的视频，我不知道会不会放全部。
对。您的视频太长了，不用TikTok。
对，大概不会。
好，可以开始上课了。
好，现在
老师您好。
你好。
对，点确定，选确认共享，确认共享，哎，对。然后这个地方点开始。
好，现在第一个视频。
这地方点开启。
Many Chinese characters have components that are weapons or tools. In this lesson, we're going to talk about some characters derived from these weapons. Of a dagger axe. It is a kind of ancient weapon used by Chinese. It was very useful. It can be used to draw and cut, stab and cut, or just stab.
现在开
You can watch this short clip. Each of these characters have components that are weapons or tools. In this lesson, we're going to talk about some characters derived from these weapons. This is the head of a dagger axe. It is a kind of ancient weapon used by Chinese. It was very useful. It can be used to draw and cut, stab and cut, or just stab. You can watch this short clip on how it was used.
实战中，戈的主要攻击动作有3种：一是冲，用戈的上刃攻击敌人；第二是啄，用戈的尖锋攻击敌人；第三是钩，用戈的下刃攻击人。
Ge is a dagger axe. Ge is a component in many characters. As a standalone character, it is derived from an ancient Chinese dagger axe. In other characters, it can represent a weapon in general, or it can also represent some kind of long-handled tool. In the character Ge, we can see a dagger axe and something that looks like tassels on the axe part. It is curious that after several thousand years, Chinese still have dance and exercise routines with traditional weapons, and the weapons still have tassels. Wu means weapon. Wu is a very interesting character. It means weapon, but all the Chinese have been writing the character wrong for almost 2,000 years. It is not from Yi as it might appear. It consists of a dagger axe, Ge, and a foot going forward, Zhi. Look at the seal character. That is how it is supposed to be written. But what is the extra line at the top? Some teacher long ago put a line in the wrong place, and for a couple of thousand years, nobody has had the nerve to tell the teacher that they were wrong. Wu Qi means weapon. Wu Gong means martial arts. Wuxia Xiaoshuo means weapons knight's novel or just kung fu novel. Zhige Wei Wu, a long story short. In 597 BC, Zheng state was being attacked by the much stronger Chu state. Jin state sent an army to help Zheng, but by the time Jin army arrived at the Yellow River, the Zheng army had already surrendered, and Chu army was getting ready to go home. The Jin generals arrived, but were undecided on what to do. General Shunling Fu of Jin thought that they should go home. General Xian Gu of Jin believed that they should maintain the hegemony of Jin and fight against the Chu army. Xian Gu ended up attacking Zhu on his own, and Shu Lingfu was forced to try to help him. In the end, the Jin army was wiped out in a pointless battle. After the battle, Peng Dong told King Zhuang of Chu that he should make a big pile out of the bodies and make a monument to brag about how many people he had killed. King Zhuang of Chu, being a good king, said, "No, you can't do this. War is not to promote martial arts, but to prohibit rape and bring peace to the people. Wugong, martial arts, should have 7 virtues: prohibit rape, eliminate war, stay strong, consolidate the foundation, stabilize the people, unite the people, and increase wealth." The character Wu, martial arts, is composed of 2 characters, Zhi, meaning to stop, and Ge, meaning weapons. So we say Zhi Ge Wei Wu. Stopping war is the real martial art. Cheng represents completeness. It consists of a long-handled instrument, ge, and a nail, ding. In this case, ge is not a weapon, but a long-handled tool, an axe. Chenggong means to succeed. Rong indicates a weapon and armor. You can see the dagger axe, ge, and originally there was a component that looked like the number 10, shi. This component is the jia in the heavenly stems. Later, it was changed to a turtle shell, jia. Jia indicates the armor part of the weapons. Rong means wool. The single thread mi indicates some kind of fabric, and the weapon and the armor rong is just a phonetic. It is subject to the variant elimination rule C497. Shu means to defend the borders. If you look carefully, you can see a person, Ren, with a dagger axe, Ge. He is defending the border.
好，关掉它。哎，对，哎，对，哎，关掉啊。好。然后那边，你要放图片还是直接的？
我想图片，先问有没有人有问题或是要说什么话？有没有什么意见？
Can you put the slide again when you discuss about the martial arts and the 7 things that martial arts should prevent?
Yeah, 可以。我从头开始，因为我忘记了那个是几号。
好的。你可以先讲那个，就这个。
这个。
对。
从这边开始。
啊，可以。啊，双击。对。
OK。对。
OK，你再关掉这个。好，第二个。双击 ，double click。double click。
我从头开始，然后等一会儿到那个位置，我可以说。现在这个是歌。现在这个是歌。有很多的人看这个符号，他们以为都是一个武器，可是这个就是有的时候是武器，有的时候是别的工具。So, a lot of people see this and they think it must be a weapon, but it's not always a weapon. Sometimes it's a long-handled tool, like a farming tool or an axe. 你可以看这个 bronze 2，有一个 tassel，在古代的时候。他们也是有这样子的，大概是跳舞，现在还可以看到。So, in Chinese martial arts, if you look at Chinese even today, when they practice the martial arts, they will practice with a sword or a spear or something, and it will have a tassel. So you can see that they've been doing this for like about 3,000 years. 如果你看这个武器，我问我自己，这个是什么奇怪的武器？这个好像不好用，可是如果你学好，还是真的是有用的。So the first time I looked at this, I thought, what kind of a weapon is this? It doesn't look very useful. But as we saw in the video, if you learn how to use it, it can be quite deadly. This is 武器的武。你可以看那个中间的那个转体字，黑色的转体字，上面有一个格，上面有一个直。 之是往前做的一个脚，然后那个之有的时候你可以看现在的之有两种，有的时候是斜的，像下面的，然后有一个个。If you look at this, the seal character is the one in the middle, the black one, and you see a foot down below. The foot can either mean to go forward or it can mean to stop, depending on where you use it. In this case, it actually means to go forward. 你看，可以看那个从甲骨文演变到壮体字没有问题。这个格是在上面的，不是在右边的。大部分的武器的字，那个格是在右边的，可是在这边是在上面的。所以你可以看一个楷书或是隶书的，上面你可以看那个格，可是那个格是有一点歪的，一点二边的。然后它变成现在的武器的武，你可以看那个格，可是那个格是有一个二边。So if you look at the character, you may notice that on the bottom you have a 直, and there's two kinds of 直. The 直 comes from a foot, and sometimes it's written straight, sometimes it's written slanted. It actually means to go forward with the weapon. But when you change to kaishu, when we talk about modern characters, we usually call them kaishu. Kaishu means printed characters. Sometimes we call them li shu. That's kind of an older form of printed characters. But if you look at the green one, green and red one, the second one, you can see that it's still a ge, but then it gets changed. So this character is distorted and wrong. Yeah, but they've been writing it this way for a couple of thousand years. So if you want to know the logic, you have to look back a couple of thousand years. 最近的2000年，他们写这个字写错了。有一个很有名的一个书法家，他写错了，然后一直到现在大家都写错了。可是如果你看它的来源，它的来源是合理的。现在我们说现代的汉字，我们常常会说楷书，楷书是印刷体的样子，印刷体是 printed characters。有2000年以前。他们也写隶书，隶书跟楷书差不多。
我有一个问题。
啊，什么问题？
你怎么知道汉字是一样六汉字？因为他们不一样。你怎么知道是一样的汉字？
哦，有的时候我们可以看字典，可是如果你详细的看那个构件，那这两个构件是没有改变多少。You ask, how do you know it's the same character?
Yes, because for me it's look some kind of big difference.
Oh, yes. Well, you have to look at characters for about 10 years or so. And then you will notice it's a big problem in Chinese for several reasons. If you look backward in time, the characters change a lot. But if you study, like the center one is a Zhuangtizi. If you carefully study it, you can see how every part changes. But the Zhuangtizi and the Jingwen or Jiaguwen, you have to look at it and think about it maybe quite a while. Maybe a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour.
Maybe
Sometimes,
one
Well,
life, it will be better.
oh yeah, maybe one life. But we have this problem also when people write Chinese, they write quickly. And so almost everybody starts by learning a printed Chinese. But then you have to look, when someone writes you a letter, they never actually print it. They write it quickly. And so your brain, you have to train your brain to recognize the changes. It's
I know, I have the same problem. When I see a printed version of Chinese, like in the book, I can recognize the character. When the teachers write on the blackboard, another story.
yes. 这个是一个很大的问题。我们
谢谢。
大部分的时候，我们学了汉字，我们学了印刷体 （printed characters）。可是人写的汉字，他们会有一点草。人写的汉字是慢慢变成新书。When people write printed characters, it becomes cursive characters or 新书. 新书 means walking characters, walking style. But many people study 草书. 草书 means super cursive. And in order to understand super cursive, you have to learn totally new rules, like 简体字。如果你要学草书，你不能随便看，你必须要学他们的规矩。然后这个草书有一点像简体字，对，那个简体字，你要学很多，所以要识别一个汉字是不容易，要花很多的时间。Any questions or comments? That's my cat.
刘老师，这个这个我写的写有些三，为什么有这个字往前走的字？
什么？
这样的，反正是
我
就是
现在是
bronze character 里面有鱼，有鱼，不，
有2个问题，老师。
那我先跟汉字叔叔说一下第2个问题，就是他问一下纸为什么会有走的意思。
Oh, the 纸 on the bottom.
Yes.
Originally, it's a foot with a toe. You can see the foot going forward, but 你可以问你自己, is it a foot or a footprint? 如果是一个脚印，这个是它不会往前走，它不会动。如果是一个脚，它会走。So the question is this a foot or a footprint? And how do you understand it? 现在的中文我们说停止，停止 means stop. 停止 means stop, but it actually means stop foot. 停止. So if we say that, the foot means going forward. But if in some cases, we think, well, it's not moving, but in any way, it's a foot. So 每一个地方你都要思考这个是什么意思，是动作或是不动作。然后在这个是一个武器，你应该要突袭，用一个武器要突袭，所以它真的是往前走。可是等一会儿我说那个故事，那个国王，他说是没有往前走。So in each case, for sure it comes from a foot. And you can see the toe and how it evolves when you look and think about it. But is it a moving foot or a foot that is not moving? Is it a foot or a footprint? So 这个是大家都要思考，也要因为不同的理解是在不同的地方可能有不同的理解。It may mean different things in different places, but if you look at it, you should be able to see a foot with a toe. I have another picture somewhere I will show you sometime that makes it more clear that it's a foot. Yep.
还有一个问题，同学，你那个问题我不是太明白，你能再说一下吗？
那个是第一个的，
就是对我知道，就是
第一个的，是不是？
就是
个岛
经文里面有那个有鱼这个汉字，对吧？
那个刀的周边是，
就是
如果没有刀，我也不知道那个是。
就是说鱼的上面为什么会有个刀，是吧？
没事，这么知道那个是刀。如果没有刀的这边，可能我没想到这个是桃。
我没太，李子你听懂了吗？
这个第一，the first one，the first PPT 有刀的照片。
我有
你可以用英文说，你会不会用英文说？
the first page with the dagger.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
If there is no dagger picture, then I wouldn't know that is dagger. I think that is fish and stick.
Oh. Yes, a dagger. A dagger is a kind of knife. So we say dagger axe. 因为这个武器，西方的人没有这个。哦，对不？
这是这个。
这个
对。
这个是，如果没有这个照片，我不知道这个是这个。
对，这个因为西方没有这个东西，西方我们有两个字，我们有 axe 是一个斧头 ，dagger 是一个刀子，可是因为西方没有这个东西，所以我们给它一个名字 dagger axe. So it's kind of halfway between an axe and a dagger. A dagger is a kind of knife. So it's actually an axe, kind of. Well, so we call it a dagger axe. 因为是一般是一个跟那个刀好像，可是也是跟一个斧头好像。Something halfway between a dagger and a knife and an axe.
我有一个问题，老师。
好。
你说停止，意思是 stop。What about 静止？
停止跟什么？
静止。
静止。
哦，静止。对，静止。So 静止是
keep still.
对，静止 yeah. So the same way, the logic, there are two characters, ting and jing, both mean not to move. So in both those characters, the zhi would mean to stop moving. So the foot itself would mean to move. So the foot means to move. The jing or the ting means to stop. So stop moving.
Okay. But it looks like Jing looks something curious because it looks like an altar, right? Looks like a shui initially, and like
Sure.
I will write for you.
Okay.
Okay. You can go and I will write the character and ask you about them later.
So the foot evolves like this.
Okay. 谢谢。
can they, yeah. 这个。
对。
所以我们看武器，器是一个器的意思就是 an object. Usually, 器 means like a tool. 以后我说器的。武功 means weapons, weapons work, and 武器 means a weapons tool. So we have weapon. And 武侠小说 is very popular kind of book in China. 武侠小说 means kung fu novel. 武侠 means weapons, and xia means like a knight. Xiao shuo means little story or novel. And 知歌为武 this is a 成语。成语是英文是说 idiom。在中文里面，我们有很多的好几千个4个字的成语，4个字的 idiom 这个是一个很有名的。它的意思，我们看这4个字，我们可能如果我们不知道这个故事，我们可能不知道这4个字的意思。可是这4个字就是停止停止战争，就是真正的是武功。It means stopping war is the real martial arts. 你看这个英文的 martial arts， 你知道这个英文字从什么地方来的吗？ Mars 火星，这个是军队的神。So Mars, we have the word martial arts, M-A-R-T-I-A-L. 应该是 M-A-R-S-I-A-L. M-A-R-S 就是火星，就是
是Mars, the god of war, right?
对 so martial arts. 可是这个成语，如果你不知道这个故事，你不知道这个成语是什么意思，它是说停止，不要用武器，就是好的战争的方法。所以我看下一步。下面有楚国，楚国是古代的一个很有力量、很强的一个国家。下面北方有晋国，中间有郑国。郑国，楚国是突袭郑国。The Chu on the bottom, they were having a fight with Zheng Guo, and Jing Guo on the top decided they were going to go help them. But they got there too late. And they didn't know what to do. They thought, one of the generals said, maybe we should just go back home. Because Chu Guo they were ready to go back home. But Jingguo from the north, one of the generals, he went off half-cocked. And the other general had to go help him. And so they lost the war, and everybody, a whole bunch of people got killed. 所以他们因为有两个将军，有一个要突袭去国，有一个要回家，所以他们毁灭了。去国的那个国王，他有一个朋友，他说啊，你杀了那么多的人，你应该做一个纪念，让大家都知道你杀了那么多的人。可是去国的国王，他是一个聪明的，他说不要吹牛，我们就回家了。So he said, we don't need to build a monument to the fact that we killed a bunch of people. We should just go back home. And he said the 4 words. He said, 知歌为物, because 物 is a 知 and a 歌. And so you can understand it as stopping the weapons or stopping the war. And so that's actually the best way, is to don't go to war. And that's what martial arts is about. So that's what the 成语 means.
Yes, that's the one. Thank you.
So it means stopping war is the real martial art. It comes from the pictograph of the character for Wu. So the 7 steps, the 7 reasons for war are to prohibit rape, eliminate war, stay strong, consolidate the foundation, stabilize the people, unite the people, and increase wealth. 所以战争不是为了要杀人家，战争是为了要把你的国家稳定的。所以知歌为物。有没有问题？ So do we all understand the 成语 now?
谢谢
Hopefully.
老师，我明白，
好。
现在我明白。
成语 are often difficult to understand. You have to know the story. So we have the word 成. It means to complete. And we have if we look at the oracle character, we see a 斧头, an axe, and we have a 扣. 那个扣是一个钉子. In modern times, we say that it's a nail. In modern times, nails are made out of metal. But in ancient times, we would put wood together, make a hole, and a piece of wood like this, and stick it together. And that was a nail. We call it a mortise and tenon. 所以古代的时候，他们没有铁做的钉子，他们就会挖一个洞，然后把2个木头接在一起的。所以如果这样子就是成功，成功就是完成的。成功 means complete the work. 成功 complete the work or succeed. 家，你们都听过那个甲乙丙丁戊己庚辛壬癸吗？
你说什么？
Oh, okay. I will have to do a class on that. We have what is called the heavenly stems. They are 12 characters, 10 characters that you can use to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We also have something called the earthly stems, which are 12 characters, which we name the months, the 12 months, or the 12 hours of the day, or the 12 years of the Jupiter zodiac. I think I have actually, I have
they are connected,
yes,
like the zodiac sign and the months and what and the hour.
yes.
The hour is connected to the sign zodiac.
那个还没做。
还没做好。
对，
下个星期 next week I will give you a video about the Jupiter cycle. In Chinese, well, in the whole world we have 12 months. And in a day we have 12 hours. 对不对？一天有10个小时，12个小时，对不对？
对。
或是24个小时。一天
白天是12小时，晚上有12小时，一个晚上有12小时，一共是24小时。
24个小时。
对对对。
Okay. Originally, in Europe and in China, a day had 12 hours. The whole day had 12 hours. And they would say, 12 time periods. Then they went to 24-hour days. And in China, we say 24个小时, little time periods. So I think next week I will give you a video on that and explain that further. Anyway, there are 2 numbering systems. One is Jia Yi Bing Ding Wu Qi Geng. Jia Yi Bing Ding means 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D. And originally, Jia looked like a cross. 原来的那个家好像一个狮子。后来他们变成好像一个家，好像是一个乌龟的家。所以这个家就是 armor， 然后有一个武器。所以这个字容它的本意就是 weapons and armor。
所以
可是它也是一个标音符号，有一个字是有一个咪字旁，咪。You'll see about 200 characters with a mi on the side. Mi comes from a string, and it always has to do with fabric. So 绒布 means wool. And 我们以前的时候有几个写法，有几个异体字。他们简化汉字，他们做了810个规矩，要毁灭了1055个异体字。所以这个为了要控制异体字，他们有规矩 C497。所以这个是这个来源，本来有3个异体字。 So 绒 means wool. 有没有问题？
没有。
有问题的。为什么 wool become weapon and armor？
你再说。
不知道。wool 是很软，是不是？soft。这个 weapon and armor 是很硬的。
什么东西硬的？
他说这个绒，这个甲应该是很硬的一个东西。
哦，对，可是这个是一个标音符号。This is only a phonetic. So me 是一个标音符号。Me tells the meaning. It has something to do with wool. It has something to do with fibers, fabric. 绒 has nothing to do with meaning. It tells how to pronounce the character. 所以绒跟 wool 没有关系，它就是它的读法一样。It only tells how to pronounce the character.
明白了，老师，谢谢。
好。这个字读树。如果你详细的看，有一个哥，然后有一个人，这个人是有一点恶变。恶变 means distorted. So you can see the ge, and you have to think about it, but you can also see the person. The person has a weapon. The man has a weapon. 所以这个就读树，它是保护我们的边界，那个一个国家的边界。The person is defending the borders. 然后你详细的看，你可以看他的眼边，然后可以看下面的是一个人，他带了一个武器。
有一个同学问借，
我们那个是下一个。
好。
我是下一个。
好。
你刚刚看我的脸，我是你看这个，你刚刚没有看这个，对不对？
是这个。
可是他们看不到。
看的。
他们
看的是这个。
刚刚看到的。哦。
一直是这个，对。
这个绿色这个颜色的，
我有一个问题。这个歌看起来，我为什么用歌写我
？OK， 这个是你刚刚问的那个问题是这个。
是的。
然后，对，你看这个是有一个格，有一个武器，下面有两个手，那个是两个手用一个武器，它威胁你，它是 warn you or caution 你，它不是打你，它是威胁你。So 这个意思是说 don't do it， 你不要进来。下面两个手，如果你看下面的那个一横一撇一竖，如果你看这个符号，常常是两个手的来源。所以这个是有两个手，有一个武器，他威胁你，他说不要进来，你不能进来，你不能做这个事。所以这个是戒是，你可以翻译 commandments. You have two hands with a weapon, and it's warning you not to do something. So you can translate it as caution or warning or commandment or something you're not supposed to do. 明白吗？
好的，明白了，老师，谢谢老师。
到第二个视频。
这个
第二个视频。
现在，对，
对，
这个我们要好，这个第二个视频哪一个？这
对
个
对对对，这个对。
Jie means to warn or to caution. It consists of a dagger axe, ge, carried by two hands, gong. This is Juba Jie. He is a famous Chinese pig from the famous Chinese novel Journey to the West, or Xiyo Ji. He always carries a rake. His family name is Zhu, which means pig. His name is Ba Jie. Do you know why he is called Ba Jie? He is especially famous for liking the ladies. He used to be a general, but he got in trouble with a lady and was turned into a pig. He used to be Tianping Yan Shui, or the Marshal of the Canopy of Heaven. In other words, he kept the peace in the sky. But he liked the girls too much and had an affair with Chang'e, who was the goddess of the moon. So he got kicked out of heaven and changed into a pig and had to learn about the Ba Jie, which are the 8 things all good Buddhists are not supposed to do. I will tell you about the Ba Jie in case you want to become a good Buddhist. When translating stuff from ancient Chinese or Sanskrit or Pali, it sometimes gets a bit tricky. Do you translate it word per word, or do you try to figure out what they are trying to talk about and translate the general idea? The first 5 are quite clear. 1. Don't kill. 2. Don't steal. 3. Don't have lewd sex. 4. Don't lie. 5. Don't drink alcohol. Then the translation gets a little tricky. 6. No incense and flowers. What's that mean? That means don't eat fancy food and don't be a glutton. Don't wear fancy clothes and perfume and stuff like that. 7. Don't sit and lie on a high bed. What? Okay, that means don't live too comfortable and sleep on feather pillows and stuff like that. Sleep on a tatami. If you don't know what a tatami is, I will explain that later. 8. Don't eat at the wrong time. Okay, that means follow the laws about fasting and other such things. Okay, back to the pig, Juba Jie, and his name Ba Jie. It means he was supposed to follow the 8 restrictions and learn how to be a good Buddhist. Oh, I just thought of another Chinese character, Jie. The Christians have the Shi Jie, or the 10 Commandments. Note that the character is the same as Jie, the character meaning commandment. In modern times, we can just warn you by speaking, Yan. We do not have to carry weapons, Jie. Jie is actually the original meaning of the word Jie. Zai means to cut. It comes from a dagger axe, ge, and the phonetic cai, which means sprout. So, therefore, it is a scythe cutting a plant. It is rarely used as a character, but it is a common component in other characters. Cai is a final exclamatory particle. The mouth, ko, indicates that it is something that comes out of the mouth. Zai is a phonetic. Ji means machine. The original machine was a loom. It was the most complicated machine of ancient times. It was also made of wood, indicated by a tree, mu. The character ji is not just a phonetic, it is the original character for loom. Ji is the original character for loom. It comes from yo, which is 2 threads. That indicates all the threads of the warp. The warp are the front to back threads of the loom. On the side, we see something that looks like a dagger axe, ge. It is, in fact, the shuttle part of the loom. Then we can see a person, ren, at the bottom. the person who is operating the loom. It must be a backstrap loom. It is subject to the simplification rule B044. The simplified character is totally different. The simplified character is a totally different character, ji, which happens to be pronounced the same and means a stool. Ji is not the same as shu. Note that ji has a hook at the end and shu does not. Zhibu ji means a weaving machine or a loom. Fei ji means a flying machine or an airplane. Jiga means how many. There is a logical connection between the loom and how many. It is critical to have a proper count of the warp strings and how many and which warp strings should be pulled up and down by the heddle. OK， 我们休息10分钟，然后回来，再说这些字。
好的，老师。
好，
好的，老师。
好，
老师，
这个好。
不是，先分享屏幕。来。
这回来了，你们可以开视频，让我看你们的脸。
好了，然后这个接。好。
这个
就是
要从这边开始。
好。
要从
借
这边。
好。
好，我们回来。这个是你刚刚问的那个借。我刚刚大概说的清楚，借是的危险，你不要进来，禁止的什么东西要禁止的，所以八戒，这个是猪八戒，有8个东西不要做。八戒是一个佛教的世界，基督徒他们有世界，佛教他们有八戒。
明白了，老师。
佛教的八戒是不要杀生，不要偷东西的，不要乱来，不要玩美女，不要说谎的，不要喝酒，然后不要穿衣服太花的，不要用香水等等，然后你睡觉的时候不要太高级的，做一个普通的生活。然后最后是你要节食，要安排那个时间了，不要吃的乱七八糟，这个是八戒。然后猪八戒，因为他本来在天堂做不好的事，他是你们可能都知道他是会玩美女，所以他要学这个八戒。So you've probably all seen the pig, Ju Bajie, and you probably all know that he is famous for having many girlfriends and liking the ladies. But he has to come down and try to learn to be a good guy according to the 8 Buddhist precepts. So this word 戒 you can translate as warning or commandments or precepts or laws or rules. When you translate something, you have to think about the best way to explain what it means. Usually when they translate it into English, they say the 8 precepts of Buddhism. It would be better to say 8 commandments. 这个字有关系，这个是一个形声字，形声字是有一个标音符号，有一个标意符号。这个不就是一个形声字，这个标音符号是本来的那个字，那个。So this is for Christians they have 10 commandments, 世界。but 这个戒的它的旁边是威胁你不要做的事，好像八戒一样。可是它有一个言字旁，言字就是说，好像上帝说的，你不要做这个事。可是基本这个字跟世界跟八戒的戒是同一个意思，没有分别。有没有人有问题？有没有问题？
没有老师。
这个在，你看一个歌，然后上面有一个才，这个才也是一个标音符号，也是一个标意符号。这个是一个构件，这个在，这个是一个构件。我们不会单独的看这个字，可是有一些别的字有这个构件，比如说这个下面的在，一个扣，一个在，那个怎么那个例子？
例子就是善哉，
善哉，
善哉，
善哉，所以中国人常常说善哉。The image you see on top is a ge and a cai. Cai means a sprout, and it's also a phonetic. And so you can see the ge is cutting the sprouts, it's cutting something, so it means to cut. But also the cai is pronounced like zai, so it's a phonetic. There are several characters that have this component as part of it, and they're usually a phonetic. So here we have a character for machine. And 古代的一个机器，最复杂的机器是一个织布机，是一个 loom。所以我看，在这边，古代的最复杂的机器可能是一个织布机。一个织布机是，你想起来可能很简单的，可是不是那么简单的。上面有2个线，这个是代表很多的线，这个是代表那个经线是 warp. So you see the red symbol here. These are 2 strings or 2 threads. They represent many threads from the loom. The loom has threads that go up and down. Those are called the warp threads, or jingxian in Chinese. So those red things, the yo is the warp threads. 在旁边你可以看一个歌，这个歌不是一个武器，这个歌是一个织布机的一个构件。So on the side you see something that is exactly the same as a ge, but it's not a weapon. It's part of the loom. You have to use your imagination. 在下面你可以看一个人，当然是你织布的时候有一个人，然后他的前面有线，这个是一个 backstrap loom，大概是。他们简化这个字，因为这个字很复杂，所以他们简化的时候，他们画一个完全不一样的字，叫鸡，这个错了。
Oh, sorry.
我写错了。It's not supposed to be dumb. It's supposed to be G. It's supposed to be machine. So it has a problem here. We'll fix that. So hopefully you understand the machine, the 织布机. 织布机 means loom. 织 means weave. 布 means cloth. 机 means machine. 织布机。这个跑到哪里？
点一下桌面这个，
这个
对，然后接一下这个图片。
你写汉字的时候，有的时候要写对的，有的时候有小小的部分，如果你写错了，就是错了或是不好看的，这个不是那么重要的。可是我们有两个字，一个是鸡，鸡是有一个勾往上去，书是一个没有往上去的，所以你写机器的机，你要往上。这个是一个本来是一个旧字 ，the G from the machine, they substituted this character, and it's actually a stool. If you look at the ancient character, anyway, when you write Chinese characters, you need to be careful. Sometimes there's a hook, and sometimes there's not. When you write the character for G chi to G for machine, you should put a hook there. Actually, some Chinese don't know that, but they do it correctly anyway.
这个。
所以有三个字要学，三个。There are three words we would like to learn. 织布机 it means a weaving machine or a loom. 那个你可以看那个简体字跟繁体字。还有飞机，因为它们都是机器，所以飞机是 flying machine。然后giga means how many. And 为什么跟织布机有什么关系？因为我们织布的时候有很多的线，很多的经线，有一部分的是要往下去，有的要往下去，所以 古代的织布机的人，他们必须要非常清楚有多少，所以他们说几个就是有多少个，就是代表多少个线。So the word for how many, it comes from a loom, because a loom is actually very complicated. You have to pull up some of the strings and pull down other strings and put the shuttle through. And so you have to know exactly how many strings, how many threads. So there's a relationship between how many and the threads of the loom. 有没有问题？没有问题。这个对，
对，
这个视频
啊，可以点这个，点这个，对对，就这一块点，对，可以的。啊，好，这个。
所以我现在给你下一个视频。我们今天有3个视频。这个现在可以，可以看到。
可以看。
During the Warring States period, they had a weapon that looked like this. They also had the character 我, which now means I or me. Based on the picture, it is likely that this is the original weapon indicating the character for I. 我 means I. Note the similarity between the ancient pictograph and the weapon shown in the picture. Means righteousness. It comes from a me, 我, and a sheep, 羊. When they simplify it, they use the phonetic E, which means scissors. They put an extra dot so that you would not tell the difference. It comes from the simplification rule B121N, which created a new character E. The original meaning probably arises from the person who is guarding the sheep with the weapon 我. Yue is an ancient weapon. You can see from the picture it is a kind of axe with a very wide blade. Yue means to go beyond, from go, zhou, and the phonetic weapon yue. Yue means to go beyond. Yunnan means beyond the south, or Vietnam. In fact, Viet comes from the Chinese character yue, and Nam comes from the Chinese character for south. Jin is from a pictograph of an axe or hatchet. Jin means spiteful. From a cow horn, jiao, and strength, li. It has nothing to do with axe. It is just that the people who simplified Chinese decided that in order to eliminate this character, they should make it written like Jing, the character for axe. So they have a variant elimination rule C278. Xin means new, but it originally meant to cut firewood. It is derived from the component jing, which is the axe used to cut the wood. In the modern character, we see the remnant qin, which actually comes from the related phonetic jian, which means hazelnut. So it is an axe cutting a tree. Bing means soldier, from two hands holding a hatchet. You can see that the ancient Chinese soldier must have been very tough. Ping and pong are two special characters to indicate the game of ping pong. They are modifications of Bing used for this pronunciation. That means if you want to write the word ping pong, you have to learn 2 extra Chinese characters. But the work of learning these 2 Chinese characters is not in vain. You can also use these 2 characters to write the word ping pong juhua, which means ping pong chrysanthemum. Ping pong cho means a ping pong ball. Ping pong juhua means ping pong chrysanthemum. It is the same with the word for 秋千, which means swing. Here's another case where you now have to learn 4 new characters to say one word, which you may never use. Okay.
有人拉屎了。
你这要啰嗦。Okay. My dog has been done.
现在还是需要屏幕共享，对，还是需要共享屏幕。对，然后这样看图片。我。
好，所以我的Go刚刚不好。这个是我们不会确定这个我的来源是什么样，我们可以确定这个来源是这么写的。这个 Oracle，那个甲骨文，就是这样子写。这是一个公主，一个长手把的公主。我看了这个古代的武器，这个战国时代的武器，所以我想这个可能是我。可是我们不会确定，也可能是一个耙子。一个耙子是英文是一个 rake。So this character means I or me, and it comes from a tool with 3 prongs there. And it's hard to say exactly what it is. Here's a type of weapon from the Warring States period, and it looks pretty much like war. So maybe that's what it actually comes from. But I've also thought that maybe it's a rake. And this also looks like the rake. And, you know, Zhu Bajie, he has a rake that looks something like this. Zhu Bajie's rake has 9 prongs. You can remember that. That might be on the test.
你上面，我给你弄一下屏幕，给你弄一下那边。
对。好。有没有人有问题？
没有。
没有。这个是 E 是 righteousness， 下面有一个羊，下面有一个我。这个逻辑是什么样的？很多的人想知道，跟羊有什么关系？这个如果我是一个武器，这个可能是一个牧羊的人，他是管那个羊。如果他管得好，他就是 righteousness， 他有义。So the logic of this means righteousness, but the logic is kind of hard to figure out. Nobody can be sure. But if the bottom part is a weapon and it's a shepherd guarding the sheep and he guards them well, then he is righteous. So that's probably the logic. 他们简化这个字，这个字也是有一点复杂，所以他们简化的时候，他们有一个 e， 这个 e 一个 x， 这个是 e， 然后可是他们不要让人家搞错了，所以他们做一个点，这个点是说这个 e 不是那个切东西的 e。So when they simplified it, they took a character that's just an X and it sounds the same. It's pronounced E. And they put a dot on the top so that people wouldn't confuse it with the actual word for cut. And it's rule B121N. 我分析汉字的简化的方法，我自己给他们，这个规矩的是我给他们一个号码。如果这个号码里面有一个 n， 这个是说他做了一个新的字。When they explained the simplification of Chinese characters, they said they did not create any new characters. That's not true. I analyzed 15,000 characters, and whenever I found a character that was not in the Kangxi Zidian, I put an N after the rule. That means it creates a new character that was never seen before. So the logic here is the shepherd who takes care of his sheep is righteous. 有没有问题？
From those characters you analyzed, how many are new?
I can't tell you exactly right off, but a couple of hundred. If we take the compound rules, there are several hundred. If we take the simple rules, maybe 100. I would have to count them. I can't tell you for sure. But,
Okay, the approximation is okay with me. You don't have to count.
okay.
It's okay.
Okay. 对，这个是月，月是一个武器。有的时候我们可以看这个，这个要变大一点。这个是本来是一个武器，这是一个很大的一个斧头，月。然后你们知道，中国本来没有控制中国的南部，福建、广州、广西、越南、泰国，本来中国没有控制，然后他们突袭的，他们慢慢控制了，然后他们控制了全部的中南半岛，也包括越南。他们有一个国家叫安南，这个是说中国的南部。越南这是现在这个越有一个字叫越，这是 go beyond 超过，所以这个是你可以说是超过南部，可是你也可以说你去南部你带了一个武器，所以越南这是从中国人的观点。这个是要去中国南部要控制那个国家。So the first character, yue, it comes from an oracle character for a special kind of weapon that looked like a very broad axe. And we have the character yue, which means to go beyond. It comes from a zhou, which is a man walking, and a yue, which can either be a phonetic or a phonetic and meaning component. So it basically means go down south or very far south. And the Chinese, they started in the north and they slowly conquered Fujian province and Guangdong, Guangxi, and then they went down to Southeast Asia and conquered Vietnam, and they created a country called Annam. And Vietnam, these two words basically come from the far south, south of China. 有没有问题? Any questions?
没有老师。
好，
没有老师。
下一个是
南不是南，对？
英文我们说 Vietnam, Nam，可是中文我们说南就是 South，对，中文我们说越南。这个经，这个是一个斧头，你可以看它的沿边。然后见我汉字的人，他们做一个要毁灭异体字的规矩 C278，是那个字，那个字经，这个是狠心的意思 ，spiteful 是一个角，一个牛角的角，一个力量的力，所以一个牛会反抗你，它会很 spiteful。So in order to get rid of this, when they simplified Chinese characters, they wanted to get rid of some words, so they had a variant elimination rule C278. On the left-hand side, you see this word jing. It comes from a hatchet, a small axe. If you look at it, it should be fairly clear. 这个新这个字就是 new 的意思，那个是现在的新跟旧的新，它本来的意思是要看木材的，所以你需要一个斧头一个茎才可以看木材的。然后这个木材是一个特别的木材，叫剑，剑是一个标音符号，也是一个表意符号。所以你可以看这个字是上面有一个木，这个是代表它是木材，上面有一个心，这个也是一个标音符号，加在一起是新的。So this, we just talked about the character jin, which means a hatchet. This character you see on top, it means new. And it originally meant to cut wood. So you see a hatchet cutting some kind of tree. You can see on the bottom that it is a kind of tree, but it's a special kind of tree. It's a I forgot what it is. Anyway, it's a special kind of tree, and the tree you can see on the bottom. It's a mu, and on the top there's a character called xin. So it's a special kind of tree. Anyway, it's a hatchet cutting the yeah. Now I want to point something out. You see, which one is mu?
Which one is mu?
哪一个是mu？这两个字有没有分别？
The left one. I think.
对，很聪明。这个 the left one is mu。这个是有的时候我们写简体字、繁体字，有的时候上面有一个勾。这个如果上面有一个勾，大部分的时候是这个来源。以后我们可以学这个分别。可是我们写这个，对，他们会看到，他们还会看到这个，对不对？
会。
哦，对，他们也会看到这个啊，
对，
那个都会。好，所以你看那个新的这个字，下面有一个木，可是这个木的下面有一个勾。这个简体字应该有一个勾，繁体字不要一个勾。旧的繁体字还是要一个勾。
我们不能看。
不能看。
啊，那你可以先暂时这样。好，那你再给他们这样看一下那两个木字。
在壮体字我们有两个字，有的读木，有的读平，他们的写法不一样。
我觉得并 more round, like
呃
around.
木这个平有两块，是分开的，平是分开的。平you see a mu on the right, that's a tree. And you see a ping on the left, that's marijuana or flax or hemp. But when you get to modern characters, the ping usually ends up with a go, with a hook on the bottom, and the mu never ends up with a hook, usually doesn't end up with a hook on the bottom.
Okay. So that's the
But-
difference.
Yeah, but when you write characters, the dictionary, some teachers will insist that you write it either with a hook or without a hook. There's a right way and a wrong way, but sometimes it's not that important. Sometimes it's important, sometimes not. So, 这个
要下一个字吗？这个时候你应该先那个我来控制鼠标，先开孔目录下。这个时候大概。
看到，所以这个是一个特别厉害的一个中国人，他们中国人带来那个斧头，是代表他们是非常严格的。可是如果我们看那个古代的兵这个字，我们可以看，是下面有两个手带了一个斧头，然后有的时候是一个人跟兵，他们有不同的写法。可是你看那个甲骨文，你可以看比较清楚，就是两个手拿了一个斧头。这个从当兵的兵，我们可以学两个新的词。在中国，乒乓球是非常有名的。在1972年的，中国人喜欢打乒乓球，然后那个尼克森总统来中国有25年，中国人跟美国人不能随便去别的国家，中国人不能离开中国，美国人不能来中国，美国人也不能去中国。在1972年，中国人跟美国人他们有一个非常有名的比赛，是乒乓球的比赛。所以这两个字你可以看跟兵有关系的，因为乒跟乓跟兵，他们的读法很像，所以你学两个新的字，你可以学乒乓球， 如果你对乒乓球有兴趣，为什么要学2个字？才可以学乒乓，这个很荒谬的。可是这个不是完全浪费的，因为还有一种话叫乒乓句话。乒乓句话是乒乓 chrysanthemum. You see in the middle a chrysanthemum. Okay, so in English, we have the word Bing, which means soldier. But we can modify it and make 2 new characters, which, because Bing and Ping and Pong sound similar, so ping pong means ping pong ball. In 1972, for 20 years before that, 25 years, Americans could not come to China and Chinese could not go anywhere else. And then they had a great competition, and President Nixon came to China and we opened up China, kind of. But you have to study 2 new characters just in order to write the word ping pong. But it's not all in vain, because you can also write the word ping pong chrysanthemum. The flower you see here is very round. It looks like a ping pong ball. 我们有另外一个很讨厌的一个字，叫
我有一个问题，
什么问题？
Chinese people don't use chrysanthemum as a flower for the dead. I mean,
I never thought about it. When traditional Chinese have had very, very, very big funerals. And I remember in Taiwan, we were traditional Chinese, and so there were huge funerals with all kinds of flowers. In China, these days, we all live in big cities, like Shanghai was 30 million people. So we don't have big funerals. But we still have flowers, all different kinds of flowers, as far as I know, as far as I can see. Ping pong juhua. Well, we have chrysanthemums, but the ping pong chrysanthemum is something kind of new. I never saw a ping pong chrysanthemum until recently. 好，有另外一个字 ，swing，这个是秋千，必须学2个新的字，一个是秋天的秋，旁边有一个鸽，这个鸽是鸽皮的一个 an animal skin, and so you have to learn 2 new characters, 秋千, and just in order to write the character swing. 很讨厌，有的时候汉字很麻烦，然后他们简化，他们变成秋天的秋跟1000、2000个千，你看这个字，你完全不知道是什么意思。可是这个是 swing 的这个字，有没有问题？Any questions or comments?
没有。
没有。OK。
差不多快要下课，4分钟下课。
10分钟下课。4分钟好。Let's see. OK， 所以这个是今天的课，你要不要谈话？有没有什么问题？有没有人要说什么？有没有什么意见或是有什么消息？ Anybody have any news or questions?
I have one. How to get to the last week recording?
Yes. Oh, yes. I will give you, I put the class video on YouTube, and I will send to you the link to YouTube.
谢谢。
Okay, I'll put it in the list there. Any other questions or comments?
No,
老师
everything.
why 9间 you put it in 乒乓
Why?
9间 why you
Oh.
put it in 乒乓
Oh, because if you want to know all the common Chinese characters, there are 8,000 common Chinese characters. The 政府标准，现在的常用汉字标准有8105个字。The simplified character standard now has 8,105 characters. Many characters like camel, lotuo, and binglang, you have to learn 2 characters for 1 word, and you never use those characters anywhere else. So these are kind of annoying on one hand, but if you learn the 2 words together, then it's much easier than learning them independently. So there's actually several thousand. I'm working on trying to get all of them, and there's probably several thousand characters where you have to learn 2 characters for 1 word, and you never use those characters anywhere else. 你知道骆驼的骆驼，有没有人知道骆驼是什么东西？
不知道
camel
Yes,
Ah.
camel.
原嘛
When they first computerized Chinese, they put the word law in the list, but not tuo, because law appears in the beginning of several characters, but tuo only appears at the end of lo tuo. So they made the first computer in the Dauma, but they could not write the word for camel because they forgot the second character. So 有很多的这样子的故事，有的汉字是你必须理解2个字才可以学一个，2个字才可以学一个词。So swing is one of those characters. The 2 characters are totally useless except for the character swing.
So they aren't used separately.
No, they're not used independently. And
Like
I can
the word for kangaroo, right? The same.
for camel.
Kangaroo. Yeah.
The word for kangaroo is daishu, which means a pocket mouse.
A pocket
the
mouse.
word-
So she can be used separately and die surya die.
Yeah, the word dai and shu, they have independent meanings. But loto has almost no independent meaning, except in rare case. And binglang, does anybody know what binglang is? Anybody from Penang, Malaysia?
No.
Anybody from Malaysia? Does anybody know what binglang is?
Indonesia
Huh? Indonesia. 你知道槟榔是什么东西吗？
槟榔是槟榔是一种那个树，一种树呀，
对，一种树。
那个叶子
槟
啊，
对对，Binglang is a kind of drug you can eat, and it's 2 characters, but it has no meaning other than Binglang. So, another example. I will show you some Binglang next time. So, that's about it for today. 完了，有没有别的问题？没有问题，下个星期再见。
再见。
谢谢老师，
没有，老师，谢谢你，
再
辛
见
苦你了，晚安，老师，拜拜，
好，
再见。
好，
这是